guys, welcome to Brighton and Bluegrass, a colorful collection of Kentucky. Today we're going to actually be doing this beautiful barn with the little lean-to on it. My husband hopefully will insert a little picture of the little barn lean-to that's in the backyard of our home. We recently moved into my grandmother's and my grandfather's house, and he built this barn not because he wanted to store horses, but he wanted to store his golf cart. And so this is one of the things that you see in Kentucky when you're driving around, and you just cannot miss the beautiful barns in Kentucky. And so we had to pay homage to the barns and the beautiful landscape. You know, people often talk about how when they come to Kentucky, how beautiful it is. And although we may not be on the beach or in the mountains, Kentucky has rolling hills and fields of beautiful flowers and amazing landscape. And so in honor of all that, we want to do a landscape with a barn in it, and some of our hills, and represent some of our crops that we have. Lots of fields of wheat you'll see as you drive by, and just beautiful, beautiful landscape that we have in Kentucky. So we're going to break this down into steps for you, and the whole process, give or take, will take about 2 hours, probably to video, maybe an hour and a half, depending on. If we do this in person, it usually takes 3 to 3.5 hours. So I highly suggest that you get all your materials together, and that you have drinks or whatever you need, because it is kind of a long session, and take breaks as often as you need, and pause whenever you need to catch up. So anyways, without further ado, we'll get started by going over our supply list. Okay, so if you look down, this is an acrylic medium, and so you're going to need something to put your paints on. I use an old or just an insert from tile that we had at our house. I use this for one of the projects, and I'm just going to use this side for this project. You're going to need the soft piece of chalk that came in your bag. It could be any color. It could be blue, or it could be green or yellow. You're going to need your 3/4 inch brush, flat brush. Uh-oh, look, I just rolled that right into my old paint. Okay, you're going to need this little brush. This brush actually will come out of your watercolor set. Okay, so a little detail brush, or any detail brush that you have. And then this number 8 brush. It's a number 8 round because the cylinder is round, the little metal part here. And this is a flat because it's been crimped. So you're going to have 2 rounds and then a flat. Okay. You're also going to need pretty much all of the colors that we sent with you. So you're going to need your red, your green, your yellow, the turquoise, the white, the pink, black, violet, and the light blue. Okay, so we're going to get started first by looking at the reference picture. So you're going to see some what we call foreground, midground, background. And if you're looking at this, which camera am I on, Mr. Moore? Okay, so if you're looking here, you're going to see that as we move and we look back and our eyes drawn here, you're going to look at the background, okay? So this is our background. So the sky is in the distance, and then we have a rolling hill, and then a field of grass, and then maybe a field of wheat. And then right here in the front, we have our crops that are planted right in front of our barn. So this is what we would call the foreground right here. This would be the midground, and then this would be the background. So we're going to be working in layers from top to bottom, working on our background to our foreground. Now we are going to sketch this out first using a piece of chalk. Just kind of lay in our underpainting, and then we'll go back in and we'll add all those details. And I promise you, if you'll stick with me, you're going to get a product that you really, really are proud of, and that you will enjoy for years to come. And we'll get started by picking up our piece of chalk, And the first thing that we're going to do is we're just going to kind of start at the bottom, and you're just going to maybe do about your finger width here. If you've got little fingers, you want to go up maybe about 2.5, 3 inches, and you're just going to make a little line, and then we're going to kind of make it go up a little bit higher on this side. Oh, and another thing, you're using the larger, depending on what order you do it in, you're using the largest panel that you have. Our supplies have not come in at the time of the recording, so I'm having to use a stretch canvas, but it's the same size. So just keep that in mind. So if you're wondering why yours does not have an edge on it, that's why. A little bit easier to frame. Okay, so now that you've done this line here, kind of come back here, and I want you to go up just maybe about 1 inch. And then I want you to do another line that kind of pulls over here. So what you've basically made is a V shape, okay? And then we're going to come up maybe about another finger width, and we're going to kind of do a line that's basically straight across, okay? So let me review that. What we've done is we've come up about 2.5, 3 inches, and we've made a diagonal line here. From there, we went up about 1 inch and started and made it go up. So see the difference between the space here and the space here. Probably 5 to 6 inches here, maybe 1 inch here. And then the next one, we're just going to start and do kind of a line straight across. And then we're going to build in a little hill area here. Maybe a little bit more than that. All right. And so that's going to allow for some pretty color in the background. Okay, so we're going to break this down, and the first thing that we're going to do Pretty gray. So our barn, or our barn, I get our and our, there's our country accent coming out, isn't it? Or my country accent. We're going to have a tin roof. And so I'm going to get some gray mixed in, and I'm going to go right over the top of the barn roof and the lean-to roof with the gray, right at the very top of it. That way I'm getting a nice little tin roof. Do not cover up that black. You want that black to stay there, okay? And if you think that you're going to do too thick of a line, you might switch to your detail brush for this. If you're not really good with the pressure on your brush yet, go ahead and switch to that detail brush. As a matter of fact, I think I'll do that for trimming out the window. So I've picked up my detail brush, and I'm going to pick up some more gray. And we're going to put a little box around our window. And then I'm going to put some gray around my door. And then the header. And I'm bringing it out just a little bit. Beyond the width of the door here. Okay, like so. Now with that gray still being out, I want to actually mix in a little bit more of the black to it so that I get a very, very dark gray. Just use the same gray you have, just add more black to it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add just a little bit of a shadow here in our barn. Yeah, that's pretty good. Like some light peeking through there and lighting it up just a little bit. Okay? So I'm going to dry my brush, or sorry, wash my brush, and then I'm going to dry my painting. Add one more layer of white to it. Okay, so what we're going to do, since the sun is coming this way and it's kind of lighting up this side of the barn here, the sun's coming in this way, let's put just a little bit of white on this part of the roof here. It's kind of like a couple little highlights here, and since it's shining this way, it's kind of hitting here. We'll just put a little bit of light here, and then maybe even across here a little bit. All right, maybe just a little bit here. All right, I love it. I think we're good. Maybe just a little bit here. All right, so at this point, you might want to mix some of that white again and just kind of highlight just a little bit here. I just feel like we need a little bit more light through here. Okay. All right. So let's blow dry this again, and then we're going to be moving on to our fields and layering those up. And we're way more than halfway through this already, so it won't be too much longer now. so from this point on, we're going to be working pretty quickly. So I'm going to recommend that you get out all of your colors and at least have a sampling of all of them, except for the red. You don't need any red. You have a little bit of the purple out, that's fine, but you probably don't need to put any more out. You need some of your turquoise. You need to have, see, I don't have any green left. I do have some yellow, so I need to put out some more green. You need some green out. You need a little bit of that pink out, and your turquoise and your white and your yellow. So make sure you have a sampling of all those colors again. I'll go through them as well. I'm going to go right back to my green. So you're going to need some green. All right. So you need green. You need yellow. You need that turquoise color. Some purple. And then we haven't put out any pink yet, so put out just a little bit of pink. Just gonna put it right here. Alrighty, so get out your number 8 round brush. And we're going to start by layering in some pink up in the distant background, okay? And didn't do this in my demo. Let's see what this would look like if I kind of did some stripes like this. I'm not sure. It's dangerous to experiment on camera, isn't it? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'm a fan. I think I'm just going to take it back the other way. We put our purple in as a under layer or under painting. Just kind of putting in some. I kind of actually like that hatch crossing here. A little plaid. It's almost like a little plaid. I kind of like that. So it's completely up to you. I'm going to go with it. Maybe not down here, but I don't hate it. And then I'm going to come right across the top. I want to make sure that I have a nice transition between the sky and this deep backdrop area. That purple just didn't quite cover. I want it completely covered. So we're just using a itty bitty bit. But you didn't really need hardly any pink at all. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to layer in some more green. Now, I want us to go ahead and mix up some more of that lime green. So we're just going to do that right now. Except maybe this time add a little bit more green than yellow. We're going to make our field here. I just keep messing with it until I get the color that I want. Kind of like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to come back in through here. We're going to layer it up, and we're going to start just doing some layers here. Now I know that looks very similar to what we already have, but if you'll look, you can see that there's some dark color coming through. And so we're covering up that first layer, and then by adding this layer, it's completely covering the areas that we didn't get covered in our first layer while still being, because if we did this as our first layer, it wouldn't cover. So this actually helps it to become more opaque and more finished. I hope that made sense. I'm just doing some solid green here. Which is great. And some more yellow. Again, if you ever have those sides, make sure you paint them as you go. All right, I'm pretty happy about that layer. So right now what we're going to do is we're going to go on back to our yellow layer. And I'm about out of yellow on that layer, so I'm going to pick up some more yellow. Pop that back down. And remember how we did our first layer of yellow, super light yellow, and we had put lots of white in it? This time we're not going to do that. I am, however, going to take my rag and dip it in some water and get just any of that chalk residue that's left. You can do this as long as your painting is dry. Don't attempt to do this and your painting not be dry, because you will have a hot mess, and we don't want hot messes. Okay? So once your brush is cleaned out, dry it off and go pick up that solid yellow, and then just start putting in some lines. And then from that you can do some straight lines up to represent some of that wheat if you want. So I have some going vertical and some going horizontal. This is the ideal that it's there. Okay, so now down here, this is really one of the showstoppers of this piece, is adding in the layers of color on the green. So I'm going to go back to that green, lime green mixture that we had made and make a little bit more up. Okay. Make sure that you can really see the bottom of this nicely. And I'll make some more of that lime green, and I'm just going to start layering that in. Okay. Some of them might be lighter than others, and some of them might be darker, and that's all the more charm that you're giving your painting. Did you hear that soda can pop? Okay. Okay, so without even rinsing my brush, I'm going to go back in and I'm going to pick up some of that green, and I'm going to come right beside the darker or the lighter green, and I'm going to put in another row of the dark green. And there's nothing perfect about any of these things that we're doing. Okay, so at this point I might actually want to add just a hair bit of black. So I might come down here and I might, ooh, probably too much black. to make a darker green. You don't need very much black at all. It's really super strong. And then just kind of come in and do another layer. All kinds of things going on outside today. I've heard mowers, now I hear a chainsaw. Soda can popping upstairs. And now I want to pick up some of this turquoise and kind of mix it with some of the green that's already on my brush. That kind of mix in. Just add a few lines of that turquoise. I love turquoise. Such a pretty color. All right, what fun. Okay, so now I'm going to rinse out my brush a little bit, and I'm going to pick up some of this gray color. And I'm going to mix it with a little bit of my green. A little bit of the gray. I'll pick up some white. Kind of a greenish gray. There we go. I like that. And then I'm just going to randomly add some of that in as well. All right, so at this point, you might want to just let it dry, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and take out my blow dryer, and I'm going to let it dry. If I went too fast on that, let me just repeat, you can just make all the just different colors. You lay down your foundation, you're going to make a lime green with yellow and green, and lay that down, and then you're going to use green straight out of the tube and lay that down. You're going to mix a little bit of black with your regular green to make a darker green. And then you're going to mix a tiny bit of green with your turquoise to get that. And then we mixed the gray that we had done with the black and the white. And then we mixed a little bit of green in that to make a grayish green. And that kind of toned it down, but we still have our pops of color, so it looks really nice right now. So I'm just going to let everything dry. And we're going to go back in and add our tree line, and then we'll be finished. Dry. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to draw in our tree line. So I think I'm going to grab some more green because I'm pretty much out of green. I'm going to dab that right where I had it before. Okay. Don't forget to put your lid back on. Keep your paints nice and moist. And I'm going to add some black to this, just a hair, because I want to make a nice dark green. Okay, I've got a little bit of that gray in there, so it's really turning it more grayish green, but I really just want it to be the black in there. All right, so once you get a darker green from that black, I want you to lay down a shadow line in the very, very back horizon here. And so you're just laying down some color here. Okay. Okay. And then we're going to do the same thing here. We're just laying down a row of shadows from where the trees would be, or the bushes, or whatever we have. Okay, and so from that same mixture, we're going to make our trees. And then we can add highlights as we go. So we're just going to take the tip of that brush and we're just going to kind of start making the suggestion of some trees back here, maybe some bushes, maybe some different things going on. Ta-da! Okay. All right, and then we're going to do the same thing down here on this row. And notice that I'm not really trying to draw a tree. I'm just really drawing bubbles. And I'm just pushing my brush along and creating a suggestion of trees, because we're not trying to be realistic. We're just trying to be a little bit abstract. Okay, so once you have that dark layer down, you can kind of let it dry a little bit, or you can just straight go in and pick up some more of the regular green and just start tapping some of that green in on top of that darker green. Don't mix it though, because then if you mix it, you're just going to get one more shade of green, and we want different shades of green to show the lights and the darks and the shadows and all of those kind of things. Okay? So we're just dabbing in green. Okay, so now you've done this. So what do you think we're going to do now? We went from a dark green to a medium green. So now we're going to go to a lighter green, more of that lime green. Actually, way more on the green side with a touch of yellow. And then we're just going to put some of that in on one side and at the tops. Might actually clean my brush this time. Okay. You see what we're doing here? If you're having a hard time actually following, make sure that you are stopping to watch sometimes some of the things that we're actually doing. I'm liking that. And I'm not super satisfied with the line here. So I think I'm going to go in with some of my darker green, or just the regular green right out of the tube. And we'll see about making a definition line to kind of define where this area is here. Make sure you're doing it on the inside of where the actual green is. If you try to do it on that yellow, it's just going to kind of become kind of translucent in the yellow, because you'll just have one layer and then you won't even see it. Then you might pull down from that so it doesn't look unnatural. Yeah, I like that a lot better. I think that really adds to it. And then add some white to that green. And let's do our last little highlights. Okay. Okay, so I mean, it would be almost impossible to identify all the different colors that we've made, even in this project, by mixing just a few colors together. It's actually pretty amazing when you think about color theory and mixing. It's kind of magical. I'm going to add a little bit more lime to this bottom portion. Kind of brighten that up just a little bit. And if you like yours the way it is, don't do this step. And sometimes you want to pick your painting up and you want to step back from it and look at it from about 6 to 7 feet so that you can see if there's anything that is not quite working out for you. And then you can adjust it from there. Because sometimes when we're up close all the time, we kind of miss what it really looks like from a distance, because you're usually not this close when you're actually viewing a painting. So we're going to dry it. Get your Sharpie marker, or if you're very confident with a paintbrush, then you can sign your name at the bottom with your paintbrush. I'm going to sign mine with my Sharpie marker. Makes me just a little bit less intimidated. So that's what I'm going to do. All right. So we're done. So again, yours may not look like mine, and that is awesome. Let's look at the first one versus the second one. Oh, Mr. Scott said I can't see it. So this is my first one that I did. Okay, this is the second one that I did. Same concept, but again, they both look completely different, and that's okay. You know, you can do this every day for the next year, and you'll probably get different results every single time, because that is what is so cool about art, is that it's always unique and it's always special and it's always yours. And so what I want you to do, if you can, and I've said this several times, but if you can, go get some of this Krylon. It is a finish for artwork, and you can spray it on there, and it's really going to bring out your colors. And I'm not going to, this one's almost completely empty. So I'm just going to show you just right here where my name is, where it's been signed. The different, ooh, I don't even know if I can get any out at all. Maybe there's some. Ah. Did you see how the colors just went shabam? It really brings out the color, and it makes everything nice and protected so that it, you know, dust and dirt won't get into it and cause your paint to fade over the years. So I highly recommend putting some kind of varnish on it, and then you can put it in a frame and enjoy it. Guys, I can't tell you how much fun I had with this project. I've been wanting to do a barn like forever. Finally got to do one. So it has been my pleasure. Please, please, please share with us on Moore's Art Camp Facebook page what you've done, because we love to see your products and the things that you've come up with. And on Instagram, it's Dawn D. Moore Art. Love, love, love to see your work there. Again, that's our joy, is to see everybody's project. So we would love for you to share. And thank you, thank you, thank you so much for joining us again today. And take care. God bless. And thank you again. Mwah. Bye.